Here today to talk about how he attracted 5 million players for Royal Revolt in the first 6 months is Georg BROXTERMANN.
Oh. Hello everyone, thanks for coming. Yes, I would like to talk about how we published our title Royal Revolt, how we attracted 5 million players in the first 6 months, and especially about how we, the biggest challenge we were facing all the time was how can we run this game successfully without paying crazy CPIs. But first of all, let me introduce you to Flare Games. We are a company founded in 2011. We are a developer and publisher of free-to-play games for smartphones and tablets. We have 2 studios, one in Frankfurt and the other one in Karlsruhe, where we have our headquarters. Some of you may know the beautiful Black Forest area. This is directly there. All the Americans love to work for our company there. And we have 45 people right now. We have 5 games in the market right now on iOS and Android. Royal Revolt and these 4. Bravesmart and Ocean Tower Word on HD are a little bit older. All of them were ranked pretty high and were rated very good from users. The last game from us is called Throne Wars. It's a MMO strategy game set in medieval with a medieval setting, and it's called Throne Wars. It's out on iOS since last Thursday and will be out on Android quite soon. Coming to Royal Revolt. Royal Revolt is a reverse tower defense game in 3D. It's built on an own engine. We launched the game end of September 2012. First on iOS, Android came later, and since 8 weeks we are also on Windows Phone. We generated until now 7 million players, and which is of course not a huge number if you have listened to some talks about 50 or 100 million users. But for a mid-core title, we think this is quite a good number, especially to work with. We still have around 100,000 DAUs every day, and Royal Revolt was so far our most successful title, especially when it comes to rankings. For example, it was #1 role-playing game on the iPad in 99 countries. When we started thinking about publishing Royal Revolt, we were thinking what are the important building blocks to make this game successful. And I would like to show you how we did it. What are the most important building blocks for us to build a castle of success for Royal Revolt. The first one, of course, is make yourself pretty. And that's, of course, very, very important to get featured. You all know this, and to be perceived by the press. You see here more or less our formula, how we got featured, or all our games were featured by Apple. Some are bigger, some are smaller, and 3 or 4 games were featured by Google Play. And this is more or less a formula. So provide a great game, integrate, the more platform features, the better. Provide excellent key art, and provide the game in as many languages. And then you have quite a good chance to get featured. A tip from our side, and I think a lot of developers from you know this, it makes sense to avoid launches of mega brands if you know that they're coming. So for example, Royal Revolt was launched on the same day as Bad Piggies and FIFA, which is probably the worst case you can have. So two big slots were blocked by these guys by that day. So second building block for us to make a game successful is always PR. And of course, you know all of that. It's good ratings and good reviews comes, of course, from the game itself. And you always have to make sure that you are ranked for your relevant keywords, not only in the mobile stores, but also, of course, in the web. This is, I think, the most discussed marketing activities these days here at Casual Connect. It's how to buy profitable installs. And this was more or less right from the beginning a big issue for us. In September, October, it was still quite okay when it comes to CPIs. I mean, they were already high, but not as high as today. We tried some campaigns, for example, on these platforms, and here you see how we measure or how we see our games. So either you have a game with a high daily ARPU, so it goes on the right side, or with a long lifetime. If one of these two is very high, then you have a good chance to be in the green field, which is for us always the place to be when it comes to having the chance to buy profitable installs. So it's in the beginning we had this chart was made a couple of weeks ago, where we were quite sure that you at least have to make a revenue of $1.30 to be able to make normal marketing on the advertising platforms. So and of course this red wave is coming down more and more, so it gets harder and harder to make marketing on CPI-driven advertising platforms. So if you cannot make normal marketing, what else can you do? And so we tried other media. For example, we tried to work with TV spots. We tested TV spots on around 30 channels in countries like Germany, France, and the US. And I would like to show you the TV spot that you know what we are talking about.
Sets out to win his kingdom back. Royal Revolt, strategic 3D action with intuitive controls for smartphone and tablets.
Oh,
Royal Revolt, download for free. Play it now.
so normally it's always a good chance to show the spot again, but let me go back. Where are we going now?
Click the Chrome logo here. It should bring
Where can I go back to the?
to the presentation.
Yes.
F5 should remove the security.
Oh, okay. Sorry for that. So yeah, as I said, we tried TV in these three countries. Normally, we wanted to make TV campaigns in the UK as well, but in the UK they have a public clearing authority which is testing all the different TV spots, and they said to us that we cannot, or they had a problem with the phrase intuitive controls. So they said you cannot run this TV spot in the UK, and we said, why is that? I mean, you can say that a washing powder makes your clothes clean, but you cannot say that this game has intuitive controls. But they wanted to have a statement from an independent authority from us, who were, to say that this game has intuitive controls. And so we said, okay, if you don't want our money, you don't get it. And so we only did this in the three countries. And the learning from this was that in some markets, at some times, TV campaigns can make really sense. And so because if you do it right, and if you work with partners where you can optimize your campaigns, you're coming down to 80 cents sometimes for an install. But if you cannot make it right, then you pay a lot of dollars for an install. So you can burn a lot of money in TV ads. So then coming back to the platforms, because we thought it must be possible to have feature-worthy content again. So for example, we were picked by Google as one of the games to celebrate the first birthday of Google Play. And we developed 4 special levels for them. You see that we could integrate the androids as warriors. And we developed a special birthday spell. This was very successful, and they gave us a worldwide feature for this. We did another activity with some other companies, marketing companies, where we developed some Easter levels where we had a rabbit as warrior with a carrot as a weapon, and we could place some partners on the Easter eggs. So and they promoted us. This was very successful as well. So then, of course, there must be more than just the App Store and Google Play, and we were always looking for other blue oceans where it's not that bloody to be in. And here, just a few examples of what we did. On the right side, top right, you see that since a couple of weeks we are running on all Android-driven TVs from LG. Since 2 days we are featured in the AT&T flagship store in Chicago, which is of course not a blue ocean, but it's quite nice. But on the left side we see a blue ocean for us. We are since a couple of weeks we are on Windows Phone and Windows 8, where they gave us a lot of features, and also from some other partners who are running on Windows 8, like Lenovo, gave us a feature as well. Let me give you some numbers, what we saw on Windows so far. So in 8 weeks, we generated for the game 750,000 downloads on Windows Phone, 500,000 downloads on Windows 8, which was much more than we expected. And the good thing is that that the performance is as good as of iOS and Android users. And one interesting part is, I mean, can you imagine there's a proactive communication from the App Store team to you? So it's quite unbelievable. You get emails that you will be featured in 2 days in whatever, Burundi or Afghanistan, but also in Germany or the US, which makes it easy to optimize your marketing, because you can decide if you want to do some PR or some flanking activities with that. So this is really, really nice. We really appreciate this. Makes it really easy. In 2 days we will be featured in China, for example. This is how we experienced the featurings for Royal Revolt so far. So when you have, I think a lot of you know this, when you have an iOS feature, it goes really high up. After 2 weeks it's going down to more or less the same level where you're coming from. Google is more or less the same. When you have a big worldwide feature, it's going really, really high up. It's really nice. In about 4 weeks, it's going down. Windows Phone and Windows 8 is more, it of course doesn't go up that high, but it stays, at least for us, longer. So this is a summary of 10 months of Royal Revolt so far. We have we think we have a great game, especially with a very sticky gameplay. People are playing 10 game sessions per day of around 5 minutes for the first 5 to 7 days. And then comes a limitation. We see then the game is more or less played. You know, there's always more content, but it's not, I mean, the spending of the player going down. So we see a big limitation right now for this game because of there's no multiplayer game. It's not a multiplayer game. There are only a few persistent elements inside the game. It was too heavy in the beginning. 350 megabyte for download is much too heavy. But we learned a lot from this title. For example, that some new ideas about free-to-play game design, platforms, markets, and marketing, of course. But I mean, the good thing is we attracted 7 million players, have a worldwide fan base, and we believe a really nice brand. And of course, the most important part is that that's a profitable game for us. So we consider Royal Revolt as a big success for us. And since a couple of weeks, we are thinking or developing a sequel of this. And so we said we want to expand this great gameplay and, of course, avoid some of the mistakes we made. We need more persistent elements inside the game. It must be a multiplayer game. We want to have a deeper localization for relevant markets. The game must be below 50 megabytes for download. And we want to develop this character family, for example, with this little princess you see here. And this is how it will look, and pretty happy to share this with you today. It's in Royal Revolt 2, you will have the chance to build up your castle and take care of your castle, and not only of your castle, but also for the way to your castle. So you're building up your buildings, your troops, and also can design the way to your castle, and then you choose your opponent and fight others. So everybody in Royal Revolt will have its own castle. I can fight against yours, and you can fight against mine. So it's a tower defense and a tower offense game in one game, and it's coming in Q4 this year. So coming back to the Castle of Success, these are always the building blocks we see when we publish a game, and I hope you found some ideas or inspirations of what you can do. And if you have some feedback or want to partner with us, please let us know. Thank you very much.
Questions? We have time. I have one. And in regard to your TV ad campaigns, how did you determine that TV was effective in those certain markets? What?
I mean, first of all, I was working for a television company before, or a couple of years ago, and we did some TV campaigns for browser games by that time, and it worked pretty well. And so we tested for another game already last May, the first time, for Ocean Tower, and did some experience there. So we tried it with Royal Revolt again.
And did you see spikes in downloads,
Definitely.
in installs in those distinct markets?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there are different types of markets. I mean, for example, in Europe, there are some TV-driven markets where you can really push your game via TV into the top 5. But there are other markets where you cannot do this, like in the US.
I see.
For example, there are if you choose direct TV or direct response television campaigns in the US, you can only plan in a 3-hour time frame.
I see.
So you don't know other people are coming from this show or from this show, and so then it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Questions? No. All right. Well, thank you, Georg. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thanks.
Just